Hello and welcome back to EU Decoded, the podcast by the EPP Group in the European Parliament. From defending Europe's skies to securing its borders, from strengthening the single market to claiming digital sovereignty, this week's plenary in Strasbourg was all about Europe's ability to act. And for the first time, Greenland took the floor in the European Parliament, a reminder that Europe's partnerships reach beyond its borders. In recent weeks, headlines have been filled with reports of EU's airspace violations, from drones to military aircraft. The Russian threat is serious, and Europe must treat it that way. MEP Esteban González Pons, who spent the 27th of September in Kyiv during one of this year's largest Russian bombings, said he came to a sobering realization. For Putin, the war in Ukraine is merely a rehearsal for his war in Europe.
Y entendí que la guerra de Ucrania para Putin es solo el ensayo para su guerra en Europa.
González Pons warned that a drone can be launched from anywhere, and what we call hybrid warfare, Putin simply calls war. A war not for territory but for influence, and unless Europe shows it is willing to respond, it won't be able to deter him.
Y si nosotros no le mostramos que estamos dispuestos a responder, si no le demostramos que estamos preparados para darle una respuesta, no seremos capaces de disuadirle.
The Prime Minister of Luxembourg, Luc Frieden, also spoke this week to the European Parliament and mentioned the importance of the EU's commitment to Ukraine, saying that only a sovereign and safe Ukraine means sovereign and safe Europe.
If we cannot deter others, they will dictate their terms and values to us. It is a matter of sovereignty and freedom to make our own choices. That is why Luxembourg will support Ukraine until there is a just and lasting peace. Because a sovereign and safe Ukraine means a sovereign and safe Europe.
The EPP Group is calling for the EU to move from words to action and defend its airspace, warning that Russia's escalating hybrid attacks against member states amount to state-sponsored terrorism and require an immediate, coordinated European response.
Tak, Rosja w sposób terrorystyczny atakuje Europę i nie możemy być bezbronni.
The EPP Group Vice Chair, Andrzej Halicki, is calling for stronger, more efficient action, especially online, to detect, block and dismantle Russia's growing cyber army. Adding a stark warning, Russian agents are inside the European Parliament as well.
Agenci są także tu na tej sali. Mówią, to nie nasza wojna. Chcą, żebyśmy byli słabi.
Although vital, the EU's security goes beyond protecting its airspace. It also means safeguarding what lies closer to the ground, the Schengen area. Well, this week the European Parliament took a key step in that direction by backing changes to the visa suspension mechanism. The reform gives the EU new powers to suspend visa-free travel when Europe's security is at risk. For the first time, hybrid threats and citizenship for sale schemes are added to the list of reasons for suspending visa-free travel, alongside irregular migration and other security risks.
A instrumentalização de migrantes é uma arma de guerra moderna. Europa não será.
The instrumentalization of migrants is a modern weapon of war, and Europe will not be the victim of migratory blackmail, said Ana Miguel Pedro, the EPP Group's negotiator on the reform. She explained that the updated visa suspension mechanism will now be faster and more adaptable to real threats.
Quando a imigração irregular aumenta, quando países terceiros não cooperam, quando forças hostis.
When visa exemptions are abused, when irregular migration rises, when third countries refuse to cooperate, and when hostile forces test Europe's security, Europe must and will respond, concluded MEP Ana Miguel Pedro. But Europe must also respond to challenges within its own internal market. The EU's single market is one of Europe's greatest economic achievements, but that doesn't mean it's free of issues. And on a lot of those issues, as pointed out by MEP Andreas Schwab, it's complicated to show what the single market means in practice.
It's very general, and we have to try to make it very precise. Concretely, it means that if you transfer a worker from one country in the European Union to another one, that this can be done easily. We don't want to deregulate, but we want to make it easy. He has to go for an A1 form, and at the same time, his employer has to make an employment declaration on 2 different forms, on 2 different systems, in 27 member states, every time a different way. That's not feasible. This takes too much time. It's pure bureaucracy, and we should look for a system that we can merge both declarations into one, that this goes much faster.
For the EPP Group, it's essential to deepen and complete the single market. And that starts by removing the remaining barriers.
El mayor de los obstáculos es el proteccionismo de los Estados miembros. Necesitamos simplificación.
The biggest obstacle is the protectionism of member states, said MEP Pablo Arias Echeverria. He called for less bureaucracy and one set of rules for the whole market instead of 27 different ones. The EPP Group is pushing for concrete actions that boost growth and competitiveness, giving businesses and citizens the prosperity they deserve in a global economy marked by uncertainty. And while we're on the topic of the single market, with the Digital Markets Act and the Digital Services Act, the European Union has shown it's ready to act and lead. Together, these laws create a global rulebook for online platforms that strengthens user rights, increases transparency, and safeguards freedom of speech. But can Europe truly be sovereign in the digital world if its technological backbone still depends on platforms and tools controlled elsewhere?
Wir müssen den amerikanischen Unternehmen schon die Frage stellen, ob sie eigentlich.
We must ask whether American companies are still willing to comply with our rules, because at the moment that doesn't seem to be the case, says MEP Axel Voss. He stresses that Europe has something to offer, but the rules must be respected. So, how can Europe achieve full digital sovereignty? MEP Eva Meidel says, by being smart.
Smart here means to know our strengths and weaknesses, the spots where we have leverage, and further develop them. It means building partnerships we can and resilience where we must. Strategic autonomy is not about closing doors. It's about knowing which ones to open and how.
The EPP Group is calling on Europe to speed up the adoption of artificial intelligence across industries, especially in areas where Europe already has a global advantage. EU digital laws are now setting worldwide standards for platform and AI accountability, inspiring countries like Japan, South Korea, Brazil and the UK. So before wrapping up, we turn briefly to Greenland, where history was made this week. Premier Jens Frederik Nielsen became the first leader of a Greenlandic government to address the European Parliament. And in his speech, he underlined the importance of EU-Greenland relations, saying Greenland needs the European Union and the European Union needs Greenland, and thanked the EU for its strong support in these challenging times. Premier Nielsen highlighted how Greenland's vast critical mineral resources could shift global and security balances, but stressed that time is of the essence. He said Greenland stands ready to move forward with the EU to speed up cooperation. EPP Group's Niels Flemming Hansen noted that Europe, with its financial backing, can help Greenland develop.
First of all, nothing should happen in Greenland without the Greenlanders. Second, I think it's important that we, with our financial muscles that we have, can help Greenland develop its country. We can help exploring the raw materials, and we can help with the safety of Greenland and therefore also the safety of Europe. Greenland and the Arctic is the northern border to Europe, and we need to protect that just as well as we protect the southern borders. It's 2 different kinds of protection, but we need to be there and we need to show force.
And that's all for this week on EU Decoded. The debates may be over, but the work continues, from defending Europe's skies to building a stronger, more secure union. You can follow the EPP Group on social media for updates and join us next time for more insights from the heart of the European Parliament. Goodbye.